Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to Looplearnings, and this is video number 5 of the series, and we are making school management system. And in today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a user interface. So basically, we are done with the database, we are done with creating the relationships in this video, and from here onwards, and for next couple of videos, we are going to create the user interface, which means forms and unbound forms we will be creating, and we'll be using record sets, and we'll be using SQL statements as well. So I'm sure you are going to learn if you are very passionate about learning Microsoft Access and coding in general. I'm sure you'll learn thing or two for sure. But before I proceed, I must ask or say or request, whatever you consider it, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload a new video. Okay, so we are done creating the database, right? These are the tables that you're looking at, and we are done creating the relationships as well. So now next part, as I said, is a user interface. Now to create user interface, we have to create forms, right? And that's where we are going to start with. Now we have to create forms for almost all the tables that we have created, starting with the academic month. We have to record this information, and we'll be using user interface to capture, update, and delete. So we are going to have CRUD operation built in into the forms and application. Okay, so to create a form, of course, this is not a basic or fundamentals training, so I'm going to right away create form. If you want to learn about the basics or fundamentals of Microsoft Access and creating forms, then I would suggest here that you watch my series of how to create software in Microsoft Access. In that, I have clearly explained most of the things. All right, so let's go to create tab in the ribbon. And as you have seen previously, we have used a tables tab to create tables, which you are looking at right now. And now we are going to create the forms. So similarly, like tables, we have several options for the forms, and there are different forms like navigation forms, and there are multiple item form, datasheet form, split form, modal form. There are different forms for different purposes, but we are going to create from the scratch, and that's what I would like to do. So I go on form design. So basically it gives me a blank canvas, and it allows me to modify the design of the form or the size of the form. So first form we are going to create is for the academic month. And if I will double click on the table, the database, we have only two fields: AM, academic month, and this is going to be primary key, and the academic month name, so full name of the month. So these are the two fields we are going to have information for. So therefore, what I would like to do is shrink the size of this form, because we don't need to create that bigger form. Okay, so probably this much. And I would like to have the form header and footer, because form header and footer generally it's a good idea to have, because we can place buttons here and controls, which means the text boxes here, and we can create a form. So first of all, I would like to, so if I'll go to the form view, I can see this is a record selector, there's a navigation bar, and this form is not a pop-up form as well. I would like to have a pop-up form types. So I right click, go to design view, and I select the form. If you have to select the form, the full form, then you click on the corner, and now the form is selected. How would you know? You can see here the selection type is form and not any other area of the form or any other object on the form, right? Now to remove that record selector and navigation, we go to the format tab, and we turn on or turn off a couple of things from here. So first of all, I would like to have that this form should open in the center of screen. So I'll turn on to yes. Then I would like to record selector, I would like to turn off, so no. Navigation buttons, I would like to, navigation buttons are the buttons on the downside of the form. I would like to turn off those buttons as well. Scroll bars, now this is not, scroll bars are generally used when you have data presented in tabular format, and you have lots of information like on the report. So navigation button, sorry, the scroll bars in the forms we don't really need, so I will choose neither. So I don't want the horizontal or vertical scroll bar, so that's why neither is the right option, right? So I hope you're okay till now. Now if I will go to the form view, now we should be able to see that this form is much cleaner as before. And but still this form is not a pop-up form at the moment. So go to design view, and we'll go to the other tab. We keep selecting the form because we are changing the properties of the form itself. That's why we have to select the form. Okay, so in here on the others tab, we have pop-up, and at the moment it says no. I will turn on to yes. Modal, at the moment it says no, and I will turn on to yes as well. What is modal? Modal is, for example, if this form is open, the user cannot click on any other object or button or form or anything else. They will have to close this, and then they can proceed with that. So in most of the situation you want that kind of functionality, so that's why you uh, turn on the modal property to yes. Cycle, now cycle is also very important. At the moment it says all records. Well, I don't want to show all records on the form. I want to show only a specific record onto the form, so we will change that to current record. Okay, whatever record is being created or being updated or being deleted, I want to see only that record onto the form. Now if I will go to the form view, I should see that this form opens in a pop-up in a small window like this, right? So this was the idea that I create this form. So that's why we have to change all those properties of the form in order to get the form in this particular situation. Now you can do furthermore things. For example, you don't want this form to be maximized by the user. For example, in some situations you want to create that kind of functionality. So at the moment you see there is a maximize button, so that means the user can make it in full screen mode, and there is a minimize button as well. What I like to do generally, if for this kind of forms, I like to remove these to maximize and minimize, and I like to keep the close operation control. So we'll go to design view, we'll go to the again format tab of the properties, and we will come down here somewhere here. There should be some options. Okay, so let's say control box, yes we want, yes. Close button, yes we want. But min max buttons, at the moment it says both enabled, we'll say we don't want these buttons at all. Now if we will go to the form view, now we see those two buttons are gone. Okay, now I'm showing you this, all of this. Maybe you are creating some applications, or you intend to create these applications in the future, and so you have to know all of these options. Where do I go to turn off couple of things, turn on couple of things, so all of that. Okay, so that's the information I'm giving in this video. I'm not going to repeat this in all other videos, and that's why I thought I'll first, in for the first form, I explain it properly, and then I move on quickly. All right, so that's the purpose. Now what I like to do, I like to change the color. So to change the color of the header, you select the header. Now header is selected. How do I know? Again, I see here section is selected, form header. Okay, so I go to the format, I go to the shape fill, and I have various options to choose the color from. I like this color, so I'll choose this. However you wish to, whatever color you like, please choose that and use that color. Now what I would like to do is I would like to save this form. So right click and save. It will ask us the name of the form. So of course this form is being created for academic month. So we'll say academic month F. Okay. So for table we had T, for form we have F. So click OK. Form is saved. Now if I will go to the form again, we see that similar name, academic month F here. However, we can change this caption of the form. So we can come here and we say we want to see academic month kind of written nicely. That's what we would like to see, and you can see here now. Okay, cool. Next thing I would like to do is I would like to bring the controls onto the form. What controls I'm talking about? I'm talking about these two text fields I would like to bring onto the form. So let's go ahead and go to the data tab, not data sheet or data chat. What I was saying, record source, and right now we choose the academic month. And you must be thinking, hang on, you said we will be creating the unbound form, but you are bounding this form to a record set, right? You must be thinking, hold on, I will be removing the record set, so don't worry about it. But I'm going to show you a trick, maybe for some of you, because I can simply go here. I can go to the form design. I can pick the controls, and I can make the control. Then I give the name. Then I make the setting. All of that I don't want to do, right? So to make my life easy and to make it a little bit quicker, I choose this way. So I choose the table and I go to the form design. I go to the add existing fields. I choose the fields that I want, drag them, drop them, and right click design view layout, stack them, and I go to the home tab. I choose the color to full black. I come back to the arrange tab and I want to reduce the what do you call width between these two, or you want to keep it like that. I would like to keep it like that, so we can make it a little bit nicer. Okay, all right, so that's how you do it. Month name, month ID perhaps. Okay, now I select both as a bold and we keep it like that. All right, okay, great. Now I have the controls. So what I would like to do is, now if I will go to the form view, right now this is bound. This form is bound to the table. How would I know? Because I can see that this 0 is coming from the table itself. So the idea is we want to create unbound forms. We don't want to bound any form with the data directly. So unbound forms, and we'll be using record sets, and we'll be using the what do you call SQL statements. So I'm going to delete this record source. Okay, right, and I'm going to unbound these controls as well, because at the moment they are bound to a control. So I'm going to delete that. Now this form is not bound. Okay, neither it is bound, neither it has a bound controls as well. So it's like whatever I type, it will be typed and it will not be stored in the table as well until I click on a button. I save that information. Until that happens, nothing will be saved. Okay, so that's the idea. So design view, and we go to the form design, and I would like to create 3 buttons. Okay, so first button is to create or add new. Okay, something like that, add new. Let's change the format of the button, perhaps this. Yeah, this looks good to me. I don't know about you. And we change the name of the button. We'll say btn add new. And I would like to have a little icon as well with the buttons, and so this plus sign perhaps would be okay. And now the moment I've chosen the icon, the text is gone, so I would like to have both. So I'll say general. Okay, there we go. All right, now it looks a little better. All right, now I have to I want to have another button called update. Okay, because we are going to use the CRUD operation. Okay, so to update, we'll repeat the same btn update, because this button is going to be used for updating the record. And I would like to change the icon. So let's have a check mark perhaps. I don't know, maybe you can use something else if you want. And now I want to have a final button called delete. Okay, because I want to give functionality to user to delete the record as well. Okay, btn delete. All right, and now I would like to have the icon changed. So for example, delete. Yep, this one would be fine. Great. Okay, All right, now if I'll go to the form view, nice. I've got little buttons here on top of the form, and I've got my controls as well. You can make button smaller, you can make form bigger, and you can do however you wish to do, right? It's up to you. My idea is just to show you the functionality, how you can create the functionality. Now, I have created the form is created, controls are there. I have got the buttons as well. Now let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun with VBA coding behind these three buttons. Okay, let me see if I have, yeah, I have changed the name. Okay, so first we will go ahead and do the VBA coding for add new record, which means we are going to add a new record. I would like to reduce the size, maybe perhaps to 10, because that looks a little bigger. All right, so first I will like to do the VB coding to create a record. Now, since this is the unbound form, we are going to use the record sets. Record sets are very powerful in a VBA access, and record sets are used to create the record, to update the record, to delete the record, to edit the record, however you want to call it. So all the CRUD operation can be achieved using the record sets. So that's what we are going to use as well. So please pay attention to whatever I'm going to show you. All right. So I choose the add new button. I'll go to the event tab. I'll click on dot 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 and we'll choose the code editor. Here we are in the code editor. So first thing, as all know, I like to do is I like to have error handling built in to the application. It's very important, and this is the code for the error handling. Now next, what I like to do is I like to build some logic or the validation, you can say. So what validation I want users to fill in these two text boxes, and then the record will be created. So to do that, first thing I will do is if is null me dot am dot value equals true, then what should access do? Well, through a message box and ask please provide the please provide the month ID. Okay, so we be critical, and the subject, or sorry, the header should be information. I also like to set the focus, so when user did not add anything or forgot to or missed any field, so cursor will automatically bring to that field. So that's what I would like to achieve. So me.am.set focus. I repeat the same with the month name, and to do that I'll simply copy the code and type else and if, and instead of am I will say month name, because that's the name of this field, right? We can see it here, month name, and I would like to set the focus here, and instead of month ID I will say month name. Booyah, everything is done. All right, now I have put some validation in to ask Microsoft Access to check whether these two fields are empty or not. Next thing, if these are not empty, in other words, if this is false, then what should Microsoft Access do? Well, then Access should take whatever information in these two fields and actually bring it here in the database tables. So that's what we want Microsoft Access to do. Now Access is shouting back at us, okay, how do you want me to do? This form is not a bound form. So now we are going to tell Microsoft Access, hang on, we will tell you how you are going to do. Actually, Microsoft Access, you will help us with the record sets to bring the information from these two fields to these two fields here in the database table. Okay, so we are going to use record sets. How do we use record sets? So first let me close it properly so we don't get any error. So to use record sets, now to those who are watching videos, Access videos first time, or learning Access first time, this might be a kind of advanced, not really advanced, but you can say kind of advanced version of coding. So pay attention to what I'm doing, what I'm saying, and then repeat that, practice it, and then you will learn. Okay, anytime you want to use record set, you have to create a variable. And whenever you want to create a variable in Microsoft Access with VBA, you have to create a variable with dim. Okay, now please don't ask me what does dim mean. As I said, I'm not expert, so I watch so much of tutorials on different platforms, and I've learned and I've used this, but I know dim is used to create variables for anything in Microsoft Access. So I want to give name of the variable. So since we are creating a new data, so we'll say rs create. Okay, and we'll say as a record set. That's what I want to create. Okay, because we are using record set. Now there are different record set as well. DAO, ADAO record set. So these two have different purposes to achieve different results. Either we can simply use this, or we can use with DAO or ADAO. Okay, we'll get the same results. Probably ADAO is for a little bit more advanced stuff. For that we are using ADAO. Okay, now I have created a variable. Now Microsoft Access knows. Microsoft Access say, all right, I have created a variable, rs create, that's the name. Now what do you want me to do with this variable? Now we will be telling Microsoft Access that, okay, so Microsoft Access, this variable called rs create, set it equals, set this variables to current db dot open record set. And what is basically what we are asking Microsoft Access to do is open this table, academic month t. So that's the name we have to give. So what I like to do is basically I like to go here, rename, copy the name of the table, and then paste in here just to avoid any error because of the spelling mistake. So now let me explain what I did. So I have created variable, access is shouting back. Okay, now I've created rs create. What do you want me to do? I'm telling Microsoft Access, okay, set this rs create, whatever I've created, equals to this record set called academic month. Now, anytime when I use rs create within this form, within this code block, it will know what I'm asking Microsoft Access to do. Okay, and where I'm referring to. Now, until now, I hope that you're okay. You have learned one or two things, probably not. Let's move on. Now, Microsoft Access is asking, okay, now I know what is rs create. What do you want me to do with it? Now we have to tell Microsoft Access. We'll say, all right, hang on, rs create dot add new. So we want to add a new record. So whenever we are creating a new record or editing a new record, not new record, editing an existing record, we have to say add new, or we have to say edit. We'll use edit later on. First let's stick to add new. So now we have to tell Microsoft Access that from where the information it will be going to where it will go. Okay, so we'll say, okay, Microsoft Access, whatever information is in this id field, take that and bring it in the table database in this am column. And whatever information is in month name field, take that information and bring it here in month name column. You getting me? So this is where record sets are used. So we'll say rs create exclamation mark am equals to me dot am dot value. Okay, although I have done it very quickly. With this line of code, what will happen? Well, Microsoft Access will see whatever is in this particular field. It will take that information and it will store it here. Simple as that. This is what will be done with this line of code. Now I will repeat again for the month name. So we'll say rs create exclamation mark month name equals me dot month name dot value. All right, now Microsoft Access will take the information, whatever is in these two fields, and will bring it into the database tables. That's what will be done with these two line of code. It will not be done until if we do this update. Okay, now it will be done. Now Microsoft Access will update this table as well. If you forgot update, you will get message box that the data is created, but when you go to the table, there is no data at all because you forgot the update. Okay, so we started with add new and we close with update. All right, now once we are done with that, I would like to give a confirmation message. So this is empty.beep message box the data has been created in month table. Okay, that's the confirmation that this was successful. Okay, information. All right. Now, one more thing we have to do is we have to close the table as well. Because the table is open in the background, it doesn't mean that we should not close. We have to close. So we'll say rs create dot close. So now it will close the table after updating the information in it. We save it, we debug it. I think we are done. Let's see if it is working or not. So let's close it. Let's close the table as well. Let's go to the form view. And now if I'll click on add new, what it says, give me the ID. So it's working well. So give the ID. Now if I'll click on add new, we get another message says give a month name, and cursor is coming in month name. So these two are working. Okay. Now, if this code is correct, so let me show you the table again in case you are not paying attention. At the moment, there is no record. It's empty. Okay, so if our code is correct, if it is working okay, then this information should be saved onto the table. Now let's click on add new, and it says the data has been created in month table, and we click OK, and there's no error. That means it worked. Just to confirm, let's double click on the academic month table. Booyah, and we have month ID and month name. Power of record sets, right? So this is how we are going to use it. Now I want to update this information as well. So how do we do that? Well, that's why we have created the update button, and that's why we are going to use the record set for the updating the record. Okay, so let's click on that. Let's go to the event tab, dot code builder, and here we are. Okay, first of all, I would like to have uh, the code for error handling. So on error, resume next, and I'll paste that. Now here, remember what we have done here. So to update the record, the code will be a little bit different, not a massive difference, but a little bit different. But we will start with checking if there is a record onto the form or not. If there is no record, then it will tell Microsoft Access. Microsoft Access will throw a message box saying, hey, there is no record, what should I update, right? So that also should be there. So we'll say if is null me dot month am dot value is equal to true, then do cmd dot beep message box, there is no record selected to delete, to update, oops, not delete, update in the database. Whatever you write your own message, whatever you want. So we be critical, and the information will be the header of the message box, and we'll say me dot am dot set focus. Okay, we are setting focus. Else, if that is true, then go ahead and update the record, because there is a ID field. And always whenever we are, because it's object oriented language, VBA, if I'm not mistaken. So for object oriented language like VBA, we have to give a ID, a unique ID for a record to update the record set. Okay, now in here, what we would like to do is we would like to again create a variable, a new variable. Remember, we can't use the same variable again, because this time we are updating the record, we are not creating the record. So a approach will be slightly different, but methodology will be same. So we'll say dim rs update, right, as record set. Okay, now we are updating the record, so we will do that. Now Microsoft Access is shouting back at us and saying, okay, what do you want me to update? And we'll say, all right, so you go ahead and you say set rs update equals current db dot open record set, and again we are going to open the same record set. So I'll go to the rename, copy that, and paste in here. All right, now Here we are, because we are updating the record, so we have to open the table in edit mode, right? Because we are editing the record, we are updating the record. So to do that, we will give a type. We will say db open dynaset. So this is what, so when you type this, now access knows that okay, I need to open this table in editing mode because we are going to edit the record. Now, this is where I said that the approach will be slightly different. And what do I mean by that? Well, we need to first find, so in the table you might have, hundred of or thousands of rows. We need to find whether whatever ID or whatever record is displayed, whether that record exists in database or not, right? Logically, right? So if that record exists, then only the updates will be made. If there is no record with the ID that is given, then it will show the error that there is no record exist. Okay, so that's the logic we have to build. So how do we do that? Well, it's quite simple. So we'll say if rs update. Okay, sorry, first we have to find. So find, what I'm doing, rs update dot find first. So what do we find first? We find am. We find whatever is id is given in this id field into this table, right? We find am sorry, not exclamation, ampersand me dot am dot value. So here we are saying, okay, Microsoft Access, we want to update the record in this table, but we want to check the ID, whether that ID called AM exists in the table or not. Okay, so that's what we are achieving with that. And now we will say if rs update dot no match equals true or false. If no match equals false, and if no match equals true. Okay, if it is equal to false, oops, if, okay, what, not, okay, what is happening? If rs update dot no match equals false, then, okay, if false means if there is id, then what you should do, then you can update the record. So you can say rs update dot edit. So you're editing record, and you're saying okay, am rs update exclamation mark am equals to me dot am dot value, rs update exclamation mark month name equals to me dot month name dot value. Okay, once you're done, remember you have to update the record sets. Okay, once this is done, so this will happen if there is a record in the database table. What if there is no record at all? Whatever we are trying to update or edit, then access will throw an error. We'll say to cmd.beep message box, there is no record exist in the database to update. Okay, we be critical, and it will be information. All right, I hope that you are following. I hope sometime it might get a little tricky, or you might have to watch it again just to understand what I did, and then you practice, and then you will be up to date with that. Now here, once we have updated, we have to give a message box saying, so instead of writing it again, I'll copy that, and instead of VB critical, I'll say VB information, because it's a success. All right, after that I actually close this record set. So rs update dot close, the way we closed the record set for add new. Now this is done. So what I did, oops, block if without end if. All right, so how many end if we have? If conditions, okay, 2 if conditions, so we have to give if condition, close that. All right, so what I did, let me repeat back. So I declared a variable update, then I told access what does this variable update equals to, and then what we did with this code, we trying to search whether the data that we are going to edit, whether that exists in the database. If that exists, then we are going to add it and update the information. If that does not exist, then we are going to throw an error that there is no record exist in the database to update. Okay, so let's we are already debugged that. Let's close, and it's time to test it. Fingers crossed, hopefully it will work. Okay, now at the moment the information stored is January with 01. Let's say I remove RY just to test whether it works or not, and I click on update. Now if this ID exists in the database, then it will go ahead and update. If not, then it will throw an error. With that, we would know that whether our code is working well or not. So I'll click on update, and boom, it says there is no record exist in the database to update. Oh, this is probably, I have to change the, let's see the table. It is updating. It's my mistake, because this is one disadvantage of copy pasting, because you sometimes forget to change the text of the message box. So it is working, by the way. It's not like it's not working. So the database record is updated successfully. All right, it is working. You know how I knew? I'm sure you have noticed as well, because there is no JAN UA, there is no RY, which we have removed. Now let's test it again. Let's bring RY, and now let's update. The database record is updated successfully. This time our message box is correct. Now let's see if now it is showing January in the database table or not. It is. Okay, now let's say I completely change from January to February, just to test. I want you to focus on whether it is updating or not. So it is updating. Let's say the table, and yep, it is updating. Now let's bring it back to January, because first month is always January. Okay, let's update that, and here we go. Now to test it whether it works or not properly, let's change it to ID number, let's say 3. Right, now let's try to update, and what it says, there is no record exist in the database. Reason why? Because there is no ID which is 3 that exists in the database. Right, there's only one ID, and that is 1. Okay, so now I know that this update code is working. So if I'll bring back to 1 and I will update, it will get updated because that record exists. Now let's go ahead and do some coding behind delete button, and we'll follow the same principle, but to delete we'll use two things. We'll use record sets, and we will use SQL statement. So let's go ahead and click on delete, even tab, dot dot dot, code builder, and here we are. First thing I like to do, as you know, code builder, error handling, on error, resume next, and you paste that. Now first thing, as we did for the update button, we want to check whether the record which we are trying to delete, it is selected here onto the form or not. So we copy the same button, or same code, rather than I retype the exact same thing again. And after that we declare some variables, right? So we'll say, okay, come here, and we'll say dim rs delete, right? Dim rs delete as a record set, and dim rs sql as string, not stream, string. Okay, because it is a string statement. Now likewise, like we did for the update button, we are going to set both things here. So set rs delete equals current db dot open record set. And what do we want to open? Well, it's the same table. So we go ahead and rename, just to avoid any spelling mistake. This is what I like to do. And db open dynaset. because we are editing record, although we are editing to delete it, but still we use that. Now, like we did for the update button, we will find whether this record, whatever is selected here, whether this exists in the database table or not. So we'll do that. So we'll say rs delete dot find first. So first you have to find what? Am equals to ampersand me dot am dot value. Okay, am equals to ampersand am dot value. Remember that. If rs delete dot no match equals false, then what should be done? Well, then it should be deleted. So then we are going to use do cmd dot run sql. Okay, remember sql is a string, and now we have to provide that string. We'll say delete everything. That's what static mean. Delete everything from where? From this table, because the data resides in this table, where of course we are not going to delete all the records. We have to specify where, like we did here, am equals to ampersand, right? So like we will do it here. Am equals to and ampersand me dot am dot value, right? So this is with this code, it will actually go ahead and delete the record from table. Now once the records are deleted from table, we want two things. We want to clear these text boxes, and we want to throw a message that the record has been deleted. Okay, so what we will do first, we will throw a message box. We'll say do cmd dot beep message box, the selected record has successfully been created. Oh, sorry, deleted, not created. What happened to me? All right, VB information, because this is a success, and information as a header. Now we want to clear these text boxes. So me dot am dot value, clear it. Me dot month name dot value, clear those fields. Okay, now all of this will happen if we will find a record, right? It will delete it, it will throw a message box, it will clear the field. What if there is no record exists? Then, well, then we throw a message box. We'll say message box, there is no record exist to delete from the database, right? Okay, we be critical, and information is the header, and we close that as well. Now one thing also needs to be done is we need to close this record set. Remember, always make sure that the record set is closed. So in here, after this success, we will close the record set. So we'll say rs delete dot close. Okay, that's it. I think this should work. Let's try it out. Let's try it out, right? Let's close it. Let's go here. So right now, right now, there is a record, right? So let's go ahead and form view. Now let's click on delete, and it says the selected record has successfully been deleted. Click OK, and this clears the fields. Now let's go to the database, and booyah, we have the data deleted as well. So this is for sure working well. Let's create the data again, January, and let's say it is created. Let's look at the table. It is created. Now let's go ahead and update. Maybe let's say one more Y, and we update, and it should update it, because let's see here. And now we have to type it again. So 01 January. Now I want to update to correct January, so that should be updated, right? Okay, it is updated. Now let's go ahead and delete this information, and great, information is deleted. Now you can see this is how you create Unbound form. This is how you use record set. is SQL statements. You create a record, you update a record, you delete a record using entirely the VBA code. So you have been asking me to create these videos with the Unbound form. Here it is. Now we are going to repeat the same with all the forms. This video is quite long. The purpose is because I want you to first watch it, and then from the next video I'm going to be a little bit faster because I can't be this slow with every single video. First of all, you will not watch it, right? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, stop, you watch, and then after that you close it. So it gets boring, to be very honest. As a viewer, I can understand, but if you have passion to learn, you will learn no matter how long the video is. Anyway, thanks very much for your support as usual. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Keep supporting, keep watching, and I hope that you have learned something in this video. If you have, please do let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye bye.